Hey guys, so today I'm going to be sharing with you how I'm using my A5 Compagna from the brand Gillio Forense. This is in the color orange and the leather is Epoca. This is my first orange and I absolutely love it. I've held off from ordering a orange color because I thought it was going to be too orange. And a lot of people think, or a lot of people say that it is really orange. But in my opinion, I don't really think it's that orange, so I really like it. So yeah, I'm really happy with this cover, and it's so textured and so soft. I just want to hold this all day, and it's just like so chunky and nice. So I mean, if you follow my Instagram, you would have probably seen my story sharing parts of this, but a lot of you were asking me to share a more in-depth flip through of this. So basically this is my study binder. I don't use it for planning in any kind of way. I used to have an A5 size Compagna and it was just way too large for me, but A5 size is always just the size that I really wanted, but I just always knew that it's way too big for my for me to use for planning. It's just too much space, my writing is too small. But I always thought that A5 size would be so perfect if I were in college or high school or something. And then I can have a really fancy planner with all of my notes section off. And that would be my one binder for all the subjects. And I've been talking about that for a while now, to myself, to my friends, and to my family, whoever that would listen. And then one day I just thought, well, I don't really have to be in school to be studying. So I decided to set this up as a study binder. I've been using it for 2 months now, a little over 2 months now, and I absolutely love this. It's everything I've ever wanted. I'm so happy I can be in the A5 Compagna size without having to create another planner that I might or might not use, because now I basically just use the Miyakara as my all-in-one reference binder, and it really can accommodate all of my needs. So that's what I use now. But anyway, so without much further ado, let's just go ahead and open this. The layout looks pretty similar to a medium Compagna, so I won't go too much into it. I love this fly leaf is so textured. It's just, this is a beautiful planner. So I did go ahead and change out the rings to 35 millimeter. I got the rings from Vendor Spec. I really needed the thick rings because I plan on piling up all the subjects in one binder. So the first thing I did was I basically just wrote down everything I wanted to learn. And let me just kind of go ahead. Do I have that section here? Yes. So I had this section where I just wrote out like all the things that I wanted to learn. And obviously I'm not doing all of these at the same time, but I did go ahead and section off all of these subjects and put in a tab using a post-it note like this. And I just hand wrote the subjects. And what I did was I bought the 6 tab dividers from, so you can see this is one tab. I bought these tabs from CSV, and I'm really happy that these are very thin and flexible, but it's plastic, so I know it won't get damaged. And it just honestly feels like a very thick vellum, and it feels like a thick vellum, but it's plastic, so it's going to be very durable. So I only got 6 tabs because I didn't want to have a ton of tabs up there, because I knew there were going to be a lot of subjects. So I got 6 tabs, and I really should label these, but these are basically sectioned off by a much larger subject. So for example, science would be one subject, history would be one subject, social science, languages, and then literature and philosophy. And then within those sections, I have smaller sections. So let me just go from the beginning. So the first section, I also put in a calendar because I just wanted to, I have this monthly calendar from the brand Knox, Knox. It's from Japan. I got this from Amazon Japan, and it came really quickly. So this is Tomoe River paper, I believe. And it's very thin, so, and I really like the layout, so I got it. I just wanted something simple. And I got the monthly insert because I wanted to just track what I actually studied. So I didn't start until June, so all the stuff in the front are empty, obviously, but I can just show it to you in case you're interested. So the first page is just 2022, which is the current year calendar, and the back is the 2023 calendar. And then here you just have a sort of similar to the Hobonichi layout, it's the vertical layout for the months. And then here you just have this one section where you can kind of look at all the months together. Here I was wondering, should I take the JLPT N2 this year? And I need to register in August, I believe. So that's why I wrote that there. And then you just have these monthly pages. So you get 2 sheets for 2 pages of the monthly. And then right behind it, you have this empty section. It's all gridded, and you can just write whatever you need to. So every month there are 4 pages. So let me show you how I'm using this. So here is my June pages. I basically just tracked what I learned each day. So I would write world history overview, blah, blah, blah. And then the subjects I learned, math, which page did I do? Like world history, what pages did I read? And such. So here I have architecture and all that stuff. And then on the left-hand side, I kind of just tracked when I started the different subjects because I didn't start all of them at the same time. So I just kind of wrote down when I started the different subjects. And in June, I basically, I didn't have any plan. I basically just introduced a new subject as I felt like it. And of course, all of the subjects were already sectioned off, but you know, it was just a matter of like, did I actually do any readings or actually learn that? So I didn't have any structure because I just wanted to do it freely and then figure out what I was actually interested in. And by the way, like I am such a big nerd. I've always wanted to do this, but there was never a good time because I was either really busy with like starting my business. We were always doing something on the side besides our 9-to-5 jobs, me and my husband. And after that we had our baby, and then I started Sterling Inc. and we were really busy. And then after I quit my job, I was so busy with Sterling Inc. there was just no time for this. But now ever since moving to the office and having some separation between work and life, I found that there was more time for me to, and more time and space in my head to do the things I always wanted to do, which is this. I wanted to learn all the things that I don't know, and there are a ton of things I just don't know about the world. So it's just been such a fun experience exploring the different subjects at my own pace, and I really like self-studying, so this was perfect. And actually I was talking to a lot of you because you guys were asking me what I was using my A5 Compagna for, and I was kind of embarrassed when I first said it, but a lot of you were saying that you had the same sort of setup too. So I thought that was really cool, and I'm happy to be in such a community where people are constantly like trying to improve themselves, and they have a love for learning, so that was really cool. Anyway, so I basically just tracked what I learned here. And by the way, I usually do this in the morning time. I try to wake up early and then have some quiet time to do my readings and studying, and it's just so nice. And then the blank sections in the back, I basically just at the end of the month of June, I sort of listed out all the subjects that I started, and I kind of wrote down what I learned and how I felt about it, what questions I had, and that's how I used that. And in July, this week was hell week in the office, so no studying. It was just so insane that week. But yeah, I just kept up with my studying, and in July I actually set up a schedule. So I paired up 2 subjects on each day, and I only did 2 subjects a day. So how I came out with that was in my Miyakara. So I do have a section for studies, and I have a tracker here. So I basically listed out the subjects that I started in the order, and then I was tracking it, and I saw that each day, most of the time I did only 2 subjects, and I felt like that was the most I could do each day. So that's how I came out with the 2 subjects per day. rule. And then the subjects I'm studying, some are math and science, and some are you know, history and like reading heavy. So I basically paired one reading heavy subject with a math or science subject. So that's how I did that. And while I'm in here, I will just show you how I'm using the rest of that study section. So what I did here was I have my study tracker, and I plan on keep on filling this up and keeping it in my Miyakara so I can see it. And then here I have study progress chart, and I basically just made one sheet per subject, and I just wrote down by the day, like when I did what, so I can see on one page what my progress is like for the subject. So I have history, math, Japanese, science, so science here, astronomy, biology, social science, which I don't know why I created a different sheet for this, but this really should be here. But political science, literature, philosophy, architecture, miscellaneous, things that I wanted to know. So these are just like some of the questions that would pop up. So I would just like write it here, and then I would later look up like the answers. So for example, I was wondering how do they clean out the inside of the concrete mixer? So I wrote the answers for that. And I don't know, I just feel like there are so many questions we have on a daily basis, and I never really go and actually look up the answer. So I'm trying to change that and actually go out there and find the answer for those questions. So this is my July page, and then here I just summarize what I learned and where I left off, what I found was interesting, and all that. And then so I have always wanted to write a book. I don't know what about, but I always wanted to write a book. I'm not a good writer, but it's just always been my dream to write a book. It doesn't have to be published or anything. It's just for my own pleasure and exercise. So I dedicated this section for that. And I got these gold foiled fancy Knox inserts that's dotted, and it's really fancy. So I wanted to use it for something special. So I thought I would dedicate that to the writing and reading section. But then now I'm thinking I actually move it out to another notebook. I'm not sure. I still have to figure out what to do with that. And then so let's start the actual sections. I had these really thick, I forgot what weight this was, but this is thicker than, you know, the normal vellums from my shop, and I thought this would be perfect to use as a divider. So I basically cut these into A5 size, and I just use a post-it note as a tab, and I like that I can switch it up and change it if I need to, and it doesn't take up too much space, and it's very flexible. I find that when I have thicker, stiff dividers, it tends to like put some stress on the rings. So I like that this is flexible and doesn't take up space. So in the first section here is for history. So I have 3 different sections: world history, US history, and Chinese history, and probably just like other Asian history as well. So those are the ones that I'm really interested in. I've always wanted to read about world history in one book from front to back, from the very beginning to the current times. And I did get the Penguin World History book, which is like more than 1,000 pages, and I've been reading that, and it's so interesting. But when I first started, I actually watched a really short video. It's a infographic video that someone did with all the different continents from prehistoric time to current time, and it was only 17 minutes, I believe, and it was so helpful for me to understand like the overall picture. So I just took some notes there, and then I started reading the actual book. So I started from the civilization, early civilization section, because I've already read the prehistoric part, and I didn't take notes on that, but I decided to just keep on going instead of like rereading it just to take the notes. I'll probably go back, but yeah, so here I just took notes, and I would write like on the top right when I read these and then when I took the notes. So yeah, and then starting from here, I actually switched over to a stamp. I got these really tiny brass stamp that I showed on Instagram. I didn't bring it to the office today, but It's really nice. I really like the font, so I kept on taking notes. This was like another video that I watched like halfway and I couldn't keep up, so I just stopped. So this insert is actually from the 7 C's notebook from Nanami, and I just cut it and then punched holes because I really like that notebook. And at the time I didn't realize they had you know, Tomoe River paper inserts that was already cut. And I believe this is probably cheaper to just cut down the notebook. Anyway, so the next section is US history and then Chinese history. So what I'm gonna do is basically when I get to those sections, when they talk about US, which is going to be much later, and then Chinese history, which already started now, I'm going to take the notes in here in these sections. And I basically have a huge stack of note papers here, so as I need, I'll take out 1 or 2 to take notes. And I read this chapter first, and then I'll underline or write notes in the book, and then I'll take notes. So that's how I'm doing it right now. So these are my history sections, and then math is the next section. Right now I'm going over calculus again just because I need a refresher, but I would say math is probably like my first love. Like I've always loved math. I was good at math. I was on the math team. I was #1 in the league. I was a huge math nerd and I loved math, but I didn't go into math for, you know, my major, because even though I love it, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see myself doing it for a job. But I love it, so this is perfect for me to just like go over and do the questions, do the exercises in the back, you know, just for fun. So I really like it. Like, uses a whole different section of my brain, so it's just been really fun. I'm using a for those of you who are curious, I'm using the Thomas Calculus textbook that I got in college, like to supplement I was taking multivariables, and I just wanted to get that textbook to kind of for a refresher when I was in college. So I'm just using that as like a review to do these questions. So that was really fun. And then I'm probably gonna go into like other types of math as well later. And the next section is science. So math was like my first thing that I loved, and I also really love science, and I was good at science too, especially chemistry and physics. Biology I wasn't so good at because we took that in 9th grade, and at that time I didn't speak English that well yet, so it was kind of hard for me to absorb the information, but you know, chemistry and physics were like, I love them so much. And another reason why I appreciate math was because when I first came to the US, I was in 7th grade and I didn't speak English that well, but I was really good at math, and people thought I was stupid just because I didn't speak English, but I was really good at math, so then, you know, I felt kind of redeemed. But yeah, so I love math. I feel like it's so international, and yeah, so that's that. And so for science, I am doing astronomy, which I never learned any astronomy in school, but I'm like really fascinated by, you know, the cosmos, and just like, I don't know anything about it. So when I'm reading the textbooks, I literally get goosebumps, because it's just such a thriller. And I'm reading Cosmos by Carl Sagan right now, and it is like one of the best books I've ever read. So for the people who are interested, I'll leave a link down below, but I found this open source, I think it's called OpenStax. It's a website with open source textbooks that's been peer reviewed, and I know some college professors said that they actually assign those textbooks just so that people don't have to go out and buy a textbook, and because he doesn't teach with a textbook anyway. So I mean, these textbooks are like more than 1,000 pages, and they're exclusively, actually no, they do sell physical versions if you wanted to buy them, but you can just like download it for free. So I downloaded a whole bunch of textbooks from that website. They have a ton of subjects, and astronomy was one of them, and I just put all of them in my iPad, and I've been reading them that way. And it's just, thank you so much to all those people who put those together. I really appreciate it, because at first I was thinking, oh, what book am I going to use to study these? I am the type of person who likes to study with a book. I don't do so well when I watch videos, because I get really distracted. So I'm really happy that these are available for free. So yeah, so the first subject is astronomy and biology, and then I have chemistry, physics, which I haven't gone into yet. I'm starting with biology. Then anatomy is also another thing I really wanted to learn. Then the next section is social science. I don't have too many here, but I haven't done too much in here, but I wanted to read about international law, US government, business law, econ. All of these subjects I'm just like really terrible at. I was never interested in social science, and I just feel like I need to learn more about it, and now I'm more interested in it. So I'm reading about political science. Again, I downloaded the textbook from that website that I told you about. You can see that the paper changed here. This paper is the yellowish paper. This is from the Life brand that I love so much. So I also use their paper in here as well. Yeah, so you can see that I'm also using their paper, and I just printed my own designed inserts in here. So I used to have an insert shop. So I just downloaded my design in here. So same thing here. This is also my design. So that's why it says Sterling ink here. So because I was waiting for this, it took a while to arrive. That's why I cut up my Tomoe River paper notebook before that. That's why there's like a difference in the paper. Anyway, so after that, I have literature and philosophy. I'm reading Little History of Literature. Now, I haven't gotten into philosophy yet. And then I have architecture next. So I was an architect. I'm still an architect. I worked as an architect in my previous life, and I finished all of my licensing exams, and that's why I can call myself an architect. But I'm just kind of reviewing the stuff I learned for that exam, because I learned it to take the test. So I read everything so quickly, and now I'm just like slowing down and actually enjoying the information. So that's what I'm doing here. And I will also be doing architecture history, which I got a book for, so I'm going to tackle that later. And probably art history too. So this section will probably be for like architecture and art history. And then after that, this last section I'm dedicating for studying languages. So I took Japanese and Spanish. I took Japanese in college, I took Spanish in high school, and I speak 3 languages fluently: Korean, Chinese, and English. And I wanted to kind of get Japanese and Spanish up to a much higher level, because I did study them, so I don't want to just like leave it hanging in the middle at that like intermediate level. So I am studying it, and I'm also trying to read a book in Japanese, like a novel, like an easy novel, so that I can like improve my Japanese. But there's a lot of room for improvement for sure. So I'm also going to be doing Spanish later, but right now I'm just focusing on one language for now. So yeah, these sections in the back are just for notebooks, note pages. So I'll be using them, and I can see myself eventually like separating some of the subjects out. For example, like languages, maybe like split the science and math from, I don't know, history and social science. But I am loving my morning routine when I study. It's just like a little me time, and I feel like it's just like time much better spent, because this is something that I always wanted to do. And as I've told you guys before, I wanted to homeschool my kids, so I felt like doing this will also help with that as well. And I also wanted to show him that learning is not just for someone who's in school. You can be learning anytime. You can be learning when you're 80, you can be learning when you're 50. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to go to school to learn. Learning is fun, and that's what I want to show him as well. So yeah, that was my study binder, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.